Everyone saw White Chicks as just a comedy, but comedy is often used to deliver strong critiques, and in this case, it's a critique of white American society that was way ahead of its time. Here's why. A delivery truck stops in front of a store, and three men walk in, meeting brothers Kevin and Marcus. When the ice cream vendor asks for payment for the vanilla ice cream, the brothers show a suitcase full of cash, but as soon as the money changes hands, the brothers reveal themselves to be FBI agents and tackle the vendor, knocking him out. Believing they've made the biggest arrest of their careers, the agents soon discover that the containers actually just had plain vanilla ice cream. Right then, the real criminals walk in and a shootout breaks out. The bad guys escape. Gordon, the FBI chief, arrives furious and ignores the brothers' explanations, clearly fed up with their mistakes. He scolds them, but a call from Marcus's wife Gina interrupts. Marcus tells her he's with Gordon, and she immediately calls the chief to confirm. As the chief walks away, Gomez and Harper, two other agents, appear to mock the brothers' failure. Back home, Marcus finds Gina upset because he arrived 2 minutes late. He tries to avoid an argument by mentioning his rough day, but Gina complains about his lack of communication. Marcus prepares for a serious talk, but falls asleep just as Gina brings up that he didn't notice her dress. The next day at the FBI office, Gordon announces a new mission: protect the daughters of millionaire Andrew Wilson at a high society Hamptons event. Their potential kidnapping targets. Upon reviewing the girls' profiles, no agent volunteers. Outside the room, Kevin convinces a hesitant Marcus to take the case as their chance to redeem themselves. They interrupt the meeting and request the assignment. Gordon agrees. At the airport, they discuss Ted Burton, the main suspect, and Wilson's ex-partner. Meanwhile, Marcus mentions his lactose intolerance before grabbing a coffee. The Wilson sisters land, radiant and aloof, mistaking the agents for charity volunteers. When the brothers explain they're assigned to escort them to the Hamptons, the girls hand them their Chihuahua, Baby, and their luggage, demanding that they clean the poop-filled dog carrier. Baby rides up front because she has to be comfortable, while Marcus gets crammed in the trunk with what looks like moving boxes. On the way, the girls make it clear this isn't just any event. They expect to be the cover stars of the Hamptons' most prestigious magazine. This film premiered in 2004 and was ahead of its time, tackling issues that weren't widely discussed back then as they are today. It uses comedy to deliver a sharp critique of American society, revealing how white supremacist attitudes are embedded in daily life and how black identity is often marginalized and stereotyped. From this point forward, I want you to watch the film through this lens. A key moment just occurred: the brothers' first interaction with the Wilson sisters. Even though they're FBI agents, figures of authority and respect, Kevin and Marcus are immediately boxed into racial stereotypes. At first, the girls treat them as if they're panhandlers. Then, even when the agents try to explain they're there for protection, the Wilson sisters see them as nothing more than chauffeurs. They assign them menial tasks, carrying luggage, cleaning the filthy dog crate, even making Marcus ride in the trunk so that the dog can ride up front. This attitude not only recalls segregation-era seating rules, where black people were forced to sit at the back of buses, but also highlights the historical disregard for black dignity. While laughing and mocking others, Brittany brags about stealing everyone's boyfriends. Then, everything changes when Baby jumps onto the dashboard, blocking Kevin's view. He swerves to avoid an accident, saves the dog, but the car veers off the road and crashes lightly. Brittany and Tiffany find small scratches on their faces and scream, horrified, thinking their lives are ruined. At the hotel, the sisters panic over being the laughingstock of the event. Brittany threatens to call the FBI chief, or better yet, write him a letter. Kevin, trying to calm them down, suggests some makeup, which enrages them even more. Here we see another clear example of supremacist behavior. The Wilson sisters threaten to report Kevin and Marcus for reckless driving, even though the crash happened because they insisted the dog ride up front. They refuse to acknowledge any responsibility and blame Kevin and Marcus entirely. They're black servants. This is a common behavior, people in positions of privilege playing the victim and shifting blame onto others. The sisters decide not to attend the event, meaning Marcus would lose his job, and he knows Gina would never forgive him. That's when Kevin has an idea. He calls a guy named Josh, who shows up with a team. Quickly, Kevin and Marcus undergo a full transformation, precise measurements, shaving, and molds, becoming replicas of Tiffany and Brittany. Now disguised as the Wilson sisters, Kevin and Marcus arrive at the Hamptons in a limo carrying Baby. Meanwhile, Gordon, suspicious of them, sends Gomez and Harper to spy closely. At the hotel, two men flirt with the disguised brothers. Marcus reacts aggressively and scares them off. Kevin reminds him to act more feminine to avoid suspicion. But when another man flirts with Kevin, he nearly loses it, until he sees Gomez, now disguised as a bellhop. Mimicking the Wilson sisters, the brothers hand Gomez the dog crate and instruct him to clean out the poop-filled bag. Harper, dressed as a receptionist, asks for ID for their rooms. Without valid documents, Kevin throws a tantrum, complaining that a surgeon ruined her nose to look like Shrek, and now Harper is treating her like a dumb blonde. She threatens to call his superior, or better yet, write a letter. Grabbing a piece of paper, she begins, "I am a white woman in America." Just then, Gordon arrives and orders Harper to hand them VIP keys. When Kevin and Marcus disguise themselves as white women, their performance lets us see white behavior from a different perspective, that of two black men. By becoming white, they don't just change their skin color, they also mimic the way some white people speak, act, and think, particularly ones like Brittany and Tiffany. Their behavior reveals certain attitudes: entitlement, self-centeredness, and fakeness. A clear example is this scene at the hotel desk. Being asked for ID is a totally normal request, yet Kevin reacts as if it's a grave insult. This mirrors real-life situations where privileged people express outrage over basic expectations. He even pretends to write a complaint, starting with, "I'm a white woman in America," and uses that to get what he wants. This scene highlights both the sense of entitlement some people feel due to their race or class, and how society often treats people differently based on those traits. If Kevin and Marcos had disguised themselves as women of another race, they likely wouldn't have been treated with the same level of respect. On their way to their rooms, they run into Karen, Lisa, and Tori, the Wilson sisters' friends, who notice changes in their lips, now resembling those of Jay-Z, and their height. The brothers explain they had knee surgery. The girls drag them to the Hamptons magazine reception, filled with social media drama, where they run into Heather and Megan Vandergeld, the Wilsons' lifelong rivals. After a tense exchange of looks, the Vandergeld sisters confront the disguised brothers in a verbal showdown, only broken up when Warren Vandergeld, the twins' father and event organizer, steps in to remind the fake Tiffany and Brittany about the upcoming white party. Immediately after, Kevin spots reporter Denise Porter and wastes no time flirting with her. Meanwhile, Marcus snacks on some hors d'oeuvres, but realizes too late they contain cheese. Due to his lactose intolerance, he urgently needs a bathroom. The girls laugh when he suggests going alone. While waiting, the friends gossip about Heath, who promised to leave Heather for Karen. Tori doubts him, pointing out his unemployment and drama, but Karen defends him. The conversation is cut short by Marcus's loud flatulence, forcing the girls to wait outside. At the reception, pro basketball star Latrell Spencer, obsessed with white women, is instantly smitten with the disguised Marcus, his ideal woman, a white girl with a black woman's butt. Latrell approaches and starts hitting on him, but Marcus, uncomfortable, uses pepper spray to escape. As Marcus walks away, Latrell declares that she'll be his wife. Later, Warren Vandergeld announces the annual charity auction, encouraging guests to bring their checkbooks and dress to impress. Lisa, Karen, and Tori are thrilled and suggest going shopping before the event. During the ride, they sing their favorite song, 1,000 Miles, in unison. When it's Tiffany Brittany's turn to sing solo, the brothers sing off-key. But when the music switches to hip-hop, they get into it and energize the whole group. In the fitting room, Marcus takes a call from Gina while tangled in fabric. A store clerk comments that his head won't fit through the opening, which Gina misinterprets and angrily hangs up. Throughout the film, Gina falls into the trap of believing Marcus is cheating on her, which stems from a lack of communication. Beneath her jealousy, what Gina really wants is attention and appreciation for everything she does for him. But every time she tries to express her feelings, Marcus doesn't listen. And when he tries to explain, he either doesn't do it well or she's too upset to hear him out. Their relationship is a clear example of how lack of communication can damage any relationship, not just personal ones, but also across groups. Instead of trying to understand the other person's perspective, we often make assumptions. These assumptions lead to misguided conclusions, which then trigger poor decisions and actions. This cycle builds more walls, more distance, and more division. Later, Marcus struggles to squeeze into a pair of tight pants and asks for a larger size, but Karen insists, a girl never needs a bigger size. Marcus is forced to suck it in just to get them on. As he steps out to show off his outfit, his clothes rip when he tries to stand up straight. Outside, Gomez and Harper are watching when a pickpocket snatches Kevin's purse, sparking a wild chase. Kevin tackles the thief and gets her belongings back, earning cheers from the girls. At the auction, the group is seated at the worst table due to the altercation with the Vandergeld twins. When they spot Heath, Karen asks Marcus to apply some powder to her face, but he overdoes it, leaving her makeup way too heavy. As Karen approaches Heath, Heather steps in and whisks him away, hinting that Karen should go clean her face. Meanwhile, reporter Denise joins their table, and Kevin learns that she's only into wealthy men. The auction begins. Bidders compete for dates with the most eligible women. Heather is up first, and Heath sets a record offering $2,000. But during Tiffany's turn, Luttrell stuns everyone by offering $50,000 in cash. After the event, Marcus is desperate to finish the mission and fix things with Gina. Kevin convinces him to hang in there a little longer, hoping they'll be forgiven for their past mistakes. Their moment of peace is cut short by a knock at the door. It's the girls, ready for a slumber party. With no way out, the brothers disguise themselves and welcome the group. Marcus braids Karen's hair, while Kevin gives Lisa a pedicure. Kevin criticizes the way Heath treats Karen, saying she deserves better. Karen opens up, saying women do so much for men and get little in return. She wishes the roles were reversed, just once, so men could understand how it feels. Suddenly, two men burst in asking for Brittany Wilson. Kevin thinks it's a kidnapping and attacks them, only to find out they're strippers hired for the party. The situation dissolves into laughter, but Gomez and Harper, who arrive amid the chaos, start growing suspicious of the Wilson sisters' unexpectedly strong physical abilities. The next day, Kevin and Marcus join the girls at the beach. Heather urges Ross, her boyfriend's friend, to prank them. Ross throws a football into a bucket, splashing the girls. Kevin quickly retaliates by hurling the ball so hard it knocks Ross down. Kevin later steals Luttrell's clothes and keys to impress Denise. Pretending to be Luttrell, he tells her he owns a private jet and is scouting property in the area. She agrees to go on a date that night. Meanwhile, Gina grows more suspicious after discovering a huge charge for a dress from the Hamptons on her credit card, a dress she never bought. Convinced Marcus is cheating, she heads straight to the Hamptons. That evening, Kevin prepares for his date with Denise, and Marcus gets ready for his unwanted date with Luttrell. They agree to meet up later at the club. Marcus, disguised as Tiffany, gets into Luttrell's convertible. Trying to turn him off, Marcus plays 1,000 miles, hoping it'll annoy him. But to his surprise, Luttrell admits it's his favorite song and belts it out. At the same time, Kevin, dressed as a valet, follows through on his plan to steal Luttrell's car and keys for the date with Denise. At the mansion, he struggles to unlock the front door. Inside, Denise finds a bizarre portrait of Luttrell, shirtless and wrapped in tiger fur. Kevin improvises, claiming he's his personal trainer, and quickly changes the subject, offering her wine. But while fetching it, Luttrell's dog attacks him, dragging him into another room. Denise, alarmed, almost leaves, but Kevin manages to wrangle the dog and lock it up. Back at the restaurant, after demolishing a mountain of food, Marcus lifts his shirt to show off his hairy belly and mocks Luttrell's sports career, calling out his scandals and laziness. But instead of being offended, Luttrell is touched, saying he appreciates her honesty. He leans in for a kiss, so Marcus farts loudly to repel him. Unfazed, Luttrell farts back, saying they're a perfect match. On the other hand, Denise confides in Kevin about her passion for investigative journalism, though she ended up in the social column after being fired. She explains how her article on Warren Vandergeld and Ted Burton exposed a scam attempt by Warren and his partners against Ted, who had already funneled millions into an offshore account. When Warren discovered the article, he didn't want the embarrassment, so Denise was the one who got fired. Kevin and Denise share a kiss, which is interrupted by an urgent call from Marcus, asking him to return the car. At the same time, Gomez and Harper, now suspicious, search the fake Wilson's room, discover the masks, and conclude the sisters are actually men in disguise. At the club, Kevin, Marcus, and their friends are at a table while Luttrell shares with his buddy Heath how hard it's been to win over Tiffany. Ross offers him a substance to help seduce her, admitting he's used it himself. But Marcus, realizing the trick, switches the drinks when Luttrell isn't looking. Unaware of the swap, Luttrell drinks the spiked beverage, and soon, everyone hits the dance floor. Kevin tells Marcus that Ted Burton seems to be living well since getting out of prison, which makes the motive for the kidnapping suspicious. Karen tries to seduce Heath on the dance floor, but Heather intervenes, and a dance battle breaks out between the Vandergeld sisters and Lisa, Karen, and Tori. Though the trio is losing at first, Marcus and Kevin jump in with an epic breakdance, winning the crowd and defeating their rivals. Later, the girls take a drunk Karen to the bathroom. She laments that Heath didn't notice her expensive dress and reveals that the Vandergelds are actually bankrupt. Meanwhile, a euphoric Luttrell tears up the dance floor. Ross nearly kisses Baby, but Marcus interrupts him. The next morning, Luttrell and Ross wake up together and scream in horror. In many old myths from America and Europe, black men were portrayed as dangerous and overly sexual, supposedly preying on white women, who were seen as pure and delicate. Luttrell embodies this stereotype, a big, strong black man seemingly obsessed with white women. It's interesting how he seems to dismiss his own community, saying he prefers white women who have black women's curves. This could suggest that he values the image and status associated with whiteness, while reducing black identity to physical traits. Historically, black people have often been valued only for their physical features. Luttrell fits this mold. He's a muscular pro athlete with not much going on upstairs. He prefers to be in mostly white spaces, reinforcing the idea that he may reject his own community and, in a way, himself. I'll go deeper into that later. Back at the hotel, the real Wilson sisters see a newspaper photo of themselves as Hampton stars. At first, they celebrate, then panic when they realize they were never there. Someone must have impersonated them. Meanwhile, Gina, looking for Marcus, arrives at the hotel with a friend. Kevin, dressed as Brittany, hides, but is quickly found by Gina's friend. Marcus tries to explain, but Gina storms off without listening. The real Wilson sisters arrive at the Hamptons looking for their imposters, but are stopped by Gomez and Harper. Mistakenly thinking they're the disguised men, the agents try to undress them, only to get knocked out once they realize their error. Soon after, Gordon finds Kevin and Marcus. Furious about the chaos, he fires them, as well as Gomez and Harper. He ignores their concerns about Burton and refuses to hear them out. Kevin wants to keep working on the case, but Marcus blames him for losing his wife and job, and walks away. Elsewhere, Mr. Vandergeld is revealed to be the real kidnapper. He orders Heath and Ross to capture the Wilson sisters. That night, Kevin and Marcus reconcile, and after a call from Josh confirming Warren Vandergeld's fingerprints on the ransom note, they decide to take action, even without FBI support. They manage to convince Gomez and Harper to help. Disguised again, Kevin and Marcus show up at the fashion show. Their friends inform them they were chosen to walk the runway and could make the cover of Hampton's magazine if they impressed the crowd. The Vandergeld sisters are furious to learn they weren't selected and that the fake Wilsons are stealing the spotlight. Heath tries to hook up with Karen after Heather leaves, but Karen, remembering the agent's advice, turns him down, saying she's tired of being disrespected and deserves better. Heath retorts that she's not special, so Marcus punches him in the face. Gina and her friend sneak into the fashion show. Just as the agents prepare to walk the runway, the real Wilson sisters arrive. The director, confused by the doppelgangers, decides to have them all walk. The crowd is stunned by what appears to be impossible outfit changes. The Vandergeld sisters try to sabotage the show by switching outfits with ridiculous ones and setting up red paint to spill. The show becomes a mess, and the audience laughs. But when the sisters are knocked off a scaffold by Karen, Lisa, and Tori, they fall into the red paint. A critic calls the incident revolutionary, earning cheers. Still, the real Brittany and Tiffany expose Kevin and Marcus as imposters, shocking everyone. Warren Vandergeld uses the chaos to activate his plan, using a Chinese dragon costume as a distraction, while Heath and Ross kidnap the sisters. Kevin and Marcus intervene. Kevin dismantles the dragon and rescues them. Dressed as the Wilsons, they fight off Heath and Ross, while Mr. Vandergeld escapes with the sisters. Gomez and Harper arrive and arrest the henchmen. Kevin and Marcus chase down Warren, pointing guns at him and ordering him to stop. His daughters overhear him confess to being bankrupt. Denise records the confession, and when Warren sees this, he tries to shoot her. Kevin saves her. Warren then tries to shoot Marcus, but Luttrell takes the bullet. Kevin knocks Warren down and arrests him. Marcus thanks Luttrell and removes his disguise. Luttrell is outraged, not because Marcus is a man, but because he's not white, saying disgustedly, "Get this thing away from me." Luttrell's rejection of his own community might be his way of coping with racism or internalized stigma. Trying to be accepted by the white community may be his idea of success or status. When he finds out Marcus isn't Tiffany, it's not his masculinity that's hurt, it's his self-esteem. Does this remind you of someone who denies their roots to belong to what they think is a superior group? With all this in mind, Luttrell's obsession with white women takes on new meaning. Some scholars argue that relationships between black men and white women have often reflected social norms and power more than personal connection. Not all such relationships are like this, but Luttrell's obsession can be seen as his way of identifying with whiteness, seeking access to the power and status traditionally reserved for white people. Gordon bursts onto the scene, once again blaming the brothers for a major disaster, but acknowledges they caught the real criminal and reinstates them, along with Gomez and Harper. Denise finds out Kevin is an FBI agent, not a billionaire. He admits he's not rich or glamorous, but still asks her out, and she accepts, impressed by his courage. Gina realizes Marcus didn't cheat on her, but is still upset. Marcus apologizes for neglecting her, not appreciating all she does, and they share a kiss. In the end, Luttrell drives away happily with the real Wilson sisters, blasting 1,000 miles, while Marcus and Kevin join Karen, Lisa, and Tori. The girls admit they prefer the fake Brittany and Tiffany, and the brothers promise to stay in touch and plan a shopping day together. Throughout the film, Marcus and Kevin experienced firsthand many everyday struggles women face. Body image issues, time-consuming beauty routines, and uncomfortable clothing. This gave them empathy and a new perspective, especially for Marcus, who now better understands Gina. Gina, on the other hand, witnesses the dangers and demands of Marcus's job and finally sees the reasons behind his distractions. This shared understanding allows them to truly communicate. Marcus apologizes for taking her for granted, and Gina forgives him. To me, this message is also incredibly relevant to social divisions. We must set aside privilege and actively try to understand others. Doing so improves communication and mutual understanding while breaking down barriers and misguided judgments. Only by truly seeing others' struggles and needs can we take real steps to support them. That, to me, is key to healing and solving many social issues.